mostly hear these Southern sounds.
Right.
This blues, this delta, this yearning, this crying. Oh wow! Look, oh man, here we go. Ooh, you see how the spirit works.
I think you pop up, I'm bringing you in. It's getting better.
Oh my goodness! Let me tell you. So you have the founder of the oldest black theater in the country, Baba Olusegun Williams. You got Lowell Williams, director of August Wilson plays, award-winning actor, major dude. You got me, and you got Professor A.K. Murtadha, who is the truth. He played our Walter Lee in our Raisin in the Sun reading, which we did right after we finished the cycle, right? Because we had to do Sankofa. We had to look back to what gave rise to August Wilson was Lorraine Hansberry, the man who directed Lorraine Raisin in the Sun originally on Broadway, was the one who discovered August Wilson.
That's true.
So there's a direct connection. And I'm going to leave our dear brother, Professor A.K. Murtadha. You see, you put that PROF on there. You see that with the period right there? He got the period too. And so everybody don't put the period. But when you put the period right there, that means he came ready to play. Okay. So I'm going to
welcome.
Jump on in here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the welcome, brothers. I am honored. Very much so, to be here. I came to listen and see, what the brothers are talking about.
How many August Wilsons have you done?
That's a good question. I think 1, 2, 3.
Whoa.
3. I've been a part of readings and things like that. Are we counting those? No.
We're counting everything because we want to hear. Okay. We want to start hearing some of them words. Some of them. I gotta start off because this is my favorite. My favorite is, you know what you are. I figured it out. You a Negro. See, you ain't a nigga. White folks think you a nigga, but they don't know like I know.
Yeah.
See, a dog knows he's a dog, and a cat knows he's a cat.
Oh.
But a Negro is the worst thing on God's green earth. Because a Negro think he's a white man.
Yeah.
That's August. Okay, that's the one I got. That's the one I wake up to. I said 5 times a day, keep my teeth white. That's mine. What you got, AK?
Man. I'm gonna have to go with Bynum. I'm gonna read him because I know.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm gonna have to go with Bynum.
Sometimes you do too much August Wilson, your brain explodes.
Yeah, no question. No question. I'm gonna have to go with Bynum in the bones, man.
You going back to Jim?
No, I'm gonna go with Joe Turner.
Joe Turner, yes, Joe Turner. Okay.
Where is he? Hold on.
This is a historical moment.
Hold on.
Summerhill.
Yes, sir.
Ago, you were reciting those lines about the Negro thinks he's a white man. It remind me of Roosevelt Hicks at Radio Golf.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I thought. That's where it's from.
That's that guy. Sterling talking to Roosevelt Hicks.
So my friend Keith Turner is actually watching this. So shout out to Keith. He sent me a message and saying Claude Purdy was the person who encouraged August Wilson to become a playwright.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Out of Penumbra?
Yeah.
Out of Penumbra, right?
Penumbra.
Yeah.
In Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a poet. So this is a picture. You can't really see it that well. But this is a picture of Jitney at the M Ensemble, which Baba is the founder of, and where Lowell directs. And then that's Radio Golf that we did. I gotta say, Jitney was directed by John Pryor,
Mm-hmm.
the major legendary African American director. You want to talk about giants? John Pryor is a giant of the theater. He's one of the staples at the M Ensemble. And then Radio Golf was done in this is a regional premiere in South Florida with all actors that are from the M Ensemble, including the late W. Paul Bodie, who played Sterling and said those words. So
John Pryor was at Miami-Dade North Campus when I was working there. And the last production I did before I moved to Tallahassee was Zoo-Man and the Sign under John Pryor's direction.
Charles,
wow.
Yes.
Who played Zoo-Man?
It wasn't me. I played the uncle.
You played Lou Gossett role?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me give you the Bynum from Joe Turner's Come and Gone, and this is when Maddie is asking Bynum she's asking him about her man, right? And coming back, make him come back. He says it ain't nothing to make somebody come back, but he says the roots is a powerful thing. I can fix it so one day he'll walk out his front door. He won't be thinking of nothing. He won't know what it is. All he knows is that a powerful dissatisfaction done set in his bones, and can't nothing he do make him feel satisfied. He'll set his foot down on the road, and the wind and the trees be talking to him. And everywhere he step on the road, that road will give back your name, and something will pull him right up to your doorstep. Now I can do that. I can take my roots and fix that easy, but maybe he ain't supposed to come back. And if he ain't supposed to come back, then he'll be in your bed one morning and it'll come up on him that he's in the wrong place, that he's lost outside of time from his place that he's supposed to be in. Then both of you be lost and trapped outside of life, and there's no way for you to get back into it, because you lost from yourselves and where the places come together, where you're supposed to be alive with your heart kicking in your chest with a song worth singing.
Man, I like that.
Man.
Yeah, baby, that's it.
Man.
Yeah.
You feel the soul in it. Feel that.
That brother, I gotta say, if there's anybody who understood just about the humanity, our humanity's connection to our roots, and how our roots inform our humanity. You were talking about Sankofa, you were talking about going back to look ahead. Our understanding of where we came and developing that understanding and making that connection in order for us to move ahead. August put that into place, but it wasn't in this sense of hey, see this is important and prescient, but it's almost like, you know, the how our ancestors and how the indigenous people everywhere took art, and you know that it served its purpose. You know that it's serving its purpose. You know, it's not just a vase. It's this beautiful work of art that you drink from, or that you get water from, or that you cook with, you know. And so this idea of going to see or experience or be in an August Wilson piece gives you a sense of community. It gives you a sense of connectedness to your past, and it also gives you a sense of connectedness to where we need to go, where we are going as an evolved community, as an evolved people.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, very good. It gives us a complete narrative that is independent of that isn't codependent. You see,
Yeah.
a lot of the narratives about indigenous people around the world are codependent on some sort of rescue.
Yes.
Right.
Somebody saved them from the girls or someone else.
Alert from Google.
So this is a narrative where you see people survive. You see people make it. You see people make it day to day. You see people make it generation after generation. You see people make it under unlikely, just ridiculous circumstances against all odds. You always see what you always see in the Black community in August Wilson's plays, and that is the supernatural element. I mean,
Right.
The spirituality, the spirituality, the forces and pieces that the unseen,
Yes.
the unseen, and
So,
it's go ahead, please.
No, I'm just gonna say with that being said, because we're getting into the spirituality aspect of it. It make me more curious about Aunt Esther, because from my reading, she was 285 years old, but she was also a central part of some of a lot of these plays. So could you all kind of break down who Aunt Esther was and like how she represented that spiritual aspect within the August Wilson plays?
Okay, I'll just jump in with a couple 2 cents, and I'll let people who know what they're talking about say something. And I'll say that, first of all, I think Felicia Rashad was the first person to play this role, if I'm not mistaken. Lowell, I don't know if you know.
Yes, I think so.
I think she was.
And Jim?
I think she was. And, to me, as an actor, and that's my liability in this conversation, I look at the original cast often to get some sense of, especially August at that point had the pick of the litter. Okay. And so if he's gonna go with Felicia, and then I've heard some very interesting interpretations of, including like some Gullah sounds with Aunt Esther recently that give me pause. But and I was actually in the room when August Wilson said these words, and I think other people have heard this too, at the Schomburg Library. He said the character of August Wilson appeared in the room, his writing room, and just stood there as he was writing with her arms crossed like this to her. Just say nothing. And then eventually after, maybe he might have said month, don't get me wrong, it's on tape somewhere, I'm sure somebody. But well, after a period of time, she said, well, don't I have anything to say? Or she injected herself into the conversation. So whatever Aunt Esther represents isn't symbolic. It sounds very real and tangible. At least that's how August Wilson described it in his words. So that's my 2 cents.
Let me add a little something here. Aunt Esther, they say she was 285 years old. That means she was born sometime in the 1600s. If she's that old, and just imagine what she's born witness to. But she's a conjure woman. She has some knowledge of African spirituality, and she knows how to put it to use. She is not a physical presence in all of the plays, but she is a spiritual and I guess I say emotional presence through the whole, through all of it. You know, that's her house. And right in the beginning of Gem in the Ocean, she's at her house talking. It's a prologue. It's not even the act one yet. It's just a short prologue. She's talking to I forget who it is, at her door. The guy wants to have a conference with her because he's trying to get some spiritual consultation. And she's like, come back Tuesday. You know, I told you, come back Tuesday. Right? And that's the end of that. But the address was 1839 Wiley. The house they're trying to save from demolition in Radio Golf is 1839 Wiley. Right? Her being a conjure woman, if you look at Gem of the Ocean, Act 2, she got a 3.5-page soliloquy where she runs it down, talking to Citizen Barlow about going to the city of bones. And she runs it down. Now, something I found out just today, and I want to say I don't like to use the word coincident, but the guy Benjamin Mordecai, who was in August to start his theater company, right? Benjamin Mordecai. Some kind of way, I found myself reading the book of Esther in the Bible this morning, right? Trying to see what's the connection. Esther was she was an orphan. Her parents had died, and her uncle had adopted her. Her uncle's name was Mordecai.
Right.
He was a Benjamite.
Oh, no.
A Jewish Benjamite. I was like, what? What's going on, right?
Everything was intentional.
So I read the story, and it seems that this king, I can't even say his name, but he had a queen. Her name was Vashti, or Vashti, right?
Yes.
And it was customary that when the king called for anybody, they had to come. You can't say no. I can't see you right now, right? So he had called Vashti into his presence one time, and she refused to go. So he kicked her out, right? And he sent for all the virgins and all the beautiful women in the territory he had control over to come to him so he could select somebody. And Mordecai shows up with his daughter and said, well, don't talk to him too much about your family because she's Jewish, right? And so she didn't. The king took a liking to her, called her in one night, spent the night with her. Instead of sending her back to where all the maidens were, he sent her to where the concubines were. Then he married her and she became the queen. But there was this other guy, I think his name was Haman, who had some kind of vendetta against the Hebrew people. So, but he was seen in a good light by the king. And so he marches into the king and says, since you like me so much, why don't you give me a nice horse and some nice stuff to have, and let me roll with all this stuff, to show how much you love me. And in the background, he was sending out a notification for all the people in the provinces to kill all the Jews, to attack them, annihilate them, kill the women and children, the babies, do everything, and so Mordecai found out about it. One of the palace eunuchs or somebody told him. So he sent a message to Esther, like, you're the king's favorite. So can you go talk to him and see if you can't save the people? And so she said, well, I'm not really supposed to go see him unless he sends for me. But then, after a few more conversations, she said, you know what? She said, I'm going to go approach him, and if I die, I just die. I just have to die. So she shows up in the presence of the king, and the way you would know that he accepted the presence of somebody he had not called for, he would extend his scepter, and the person would have to touch it, right? I don't know what kind of off to the side connotations that might have, but I read some other type of stuff in that just a little bit. Right? There are a couple of occasions where she had to do that. Right. And the king told her, he's like, what do you want? she said, well, you know, what I want to do is I want to have a dinner for you and this Haman guy who's trying to get all the Jews killed. She said, I'm gonna fix a lunch for y'all. Y'all come to lunch. They come to lunch, and he said, well, what you want me to do for you? He said, I'll give you anything you ask for, up to half of my kingdom. I'll give you everything, right? And she said, well, you know, why don't you and the guy come to dinner, you know, tomorrow, right? And so she finally let it know what his plot was. Can you do something to help save my people? So he sent an edict out to all the prophets. Haman had actually built a gallows to hang Mordecai from when he found out he was Jewish. But it was because of Esther that the script got flipped. And Haman wound up being the one executed at the gallows. And, you know, the word went out for the Jewish people to defend themselves and this and that. But it was just very interesting that they talked about the casting of lots. The Hebrew holiday of Purim, Purim, is based on this story of Esther and what went down with that. And they said that the people casted lots, which is an African tradition, probably not just African, but in traditional African spirituality, they do divination. They cast lots. You know, so that's kind of an organic connection to that. You know, I don't know how well the stories match, but that thing about casting lots caught my attention.
Jewish too. I mean, people. I don't know why they overlooked that, but that's. I don't think that's overlooked in the fact that he was so well received. I mean, I think his Jewishness was beneficial for him. His father was Jewish. And I think his, I don't know, sensibilities in some ways as a man, certainly. He talks about this boxer. I don't know if anybody's seen the PBS thing. They say his dad was a drunk. Fred Kittle was a drunk, they said. But, you know, lots of people are drunks. That doesn't mean they don't influence their kids. I would suspect, and I don't hear people talking about this. Have any of you heard anybody talk about how August's Jewishness has been, influence on his life in any way? I haven't heard anybody really.
I haven't seen anything on that.
I know, even in the PBS, I mean, they mention it, and it's almost like, but I don't know. I got to think part of that's marketing. It's like you downplay that when you're marketing a product because you don't want it to seem less authentic. It's like, you know, when they marketed Barack Obama, they didn't really talk about the fact that his mother was a white Kansas, a white lady from Kansas. That wasn't really like the big leading factor. That wasn't the selling point, you know. And so. But his mother is a white woman from Kansas, and we bought the whole package. Same thing with August Wilson. In fact, I did hear one brother at the National Black Theater Festival, a well-known actor, I won't say his name, say that part of the reason August Wilson used the word nigger so freely, frequently, and liberally was in part because his father was white. I thought, well, that ain't white. Maybe it's one of my favorite words. But I did allow that the reason you to get away with it with that mixed audience so swimmingly was because he was biracial. Because he could sort of quell any concerns that he was offending. You know, if you said, oh, this white guy, like look Tarantino. Tarantino got castigated. He didn't care. He's making lots of money. He still does it. I like Tarantino. But no one said anything about August Wilson starting off fences with the nigga had a water or
Watermelon this big.
Yep, that's Fences, right?
Yeah, that's
Then
Fences.
he's got he's got Tallahassee references in several of his plays.
Yeah.
Certainly Fences right off in that first monologue. She from Tallahassee, the gal from Tallahassee. They grow right up out the ground. And got
big stockings.
They got Indians in their family, all of that stuff. So August Wilson, this part of the country is all August Wilson country. This is all the people he's talking about. He's literally talking about Tallahassee. To your point, Baba, these biblical references, these Jewish traditions, symbolically, they find their way into his work. I'm curious to know for Lowell and Professor Murtadha, how do you see, to answer Joseph's question, how do you see Esther's influence in the plays that you've all done? Because what's three of you done, AK?
What do you?
Radio Golf, Joe Turner, and
Radio Golf, Joe Turner.
Guitars, right?
Seven guitars.
Guitar. All the guitars. Where's Esther and guitars?
Say again.
Where's the influence of Aunt Esther and Seven Guitars?
She's the one who why is his name? I'm spacing on his name right now. Headley goes to see, and not just Headley, but several others refer to Aunt Esther as the person to go to, in addition to Sarah Degree, about about fixing, about healing Headley, if I can remember correctly. And I think they, I want to say Sarah Degree, but I think Sarah Degree and Aunt Esther might be the same people. That's the theory. That's an
interesting theory.
Yeah, but I think she's always been the spiritual source, the healing source, the one, the shaman, if you will. I think it's telling that the preacher, the idea of the preacher, isn't very prominent in August's plays, but the idea of the healing woman or the apothecary being, Miss Sarah Degree or Miss God knows now her name just thank you, or Aunt Esther.
Yeah.
Being that presence, that idea of the healing coming from someone who is aware of their roots, someone who hasn't been completely irracinated.
Yeah.
And I think that is August's connection to them. Same thing when I think about, even if they aren't in the play, someone who has dealings with them has been in the play, whether it be Bynum or whether it be Headley, but they've connected to their roots, and they know about her, or they have visited her, or they see her. But go ahead. You, brother Williams, brother Law, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say I see a connection. I don't know whether Wilson used this at all. There's a couple of things. I think we all may know about Lucy anthropologically, who Lucy is.
Yes.
Yes.
And it may be that some of that connection with Aunt Esther, going back to Lucy probably being the progenitor of humankind.
Oh.
I'm, we can sit here and postulate about what was going on with August.
Sure.
I do know two things. I was fortunate enough to see him at a Queens library in New York City with about 50 people.
Mm.
So we got to talk to him. He told us about his writing process, where he would go down into his, what he called his writing cave. This was when he was in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And he would sit there and wait for his characters to come visit him. And I'm sitting there saying, what?
Yeah.
This man's crazy. And he would wait, basically, what I heard him now, I look back, he was waiting for the visitations of his characters come talk to him. And like Summer said, and Esther would stand there, her character would stand there and say to him, hey, August, I got something I need to say. And that's when he would start writing. I also know from things I've read, he personally, reason religion plays so much a part in his plays, he personally struggled with his belief in God, with religion, with where that fit into his personal life. So you see that struggle in a lot of the dialogue and the characters.
Oh boy, Levy, that monologue.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, like a good writer, that's what I'm learning as I'm learning to become a playwright. You use what you got. People,
Right.
I have now I understand what he was saying. I have characters literally wake me up in the middle of the night because I can't sleep because I'm an insomniac like most writers. And they tell me, I hear them telling me, get up, motherfucker, and start writing.
Well, I got to tell you, in conjunction with that, brother, Suzanne Laurie Parks, and I have never had dreams, and I think, Brother Akbar, you and I have talked about this before. I've never had dreams as vivid and as connected and as metaphorical, as far as like our experience, as I have had when I'm doing an August Wilson play or doing a Suzanne Laurie Parks play.
Right.
And I say that to say this. She's also talked often about how, and August was one of her mentors. She's also talked often about how she will listen. She's not writing the play. She says this vehemently. They are telling me. I'm listening to them tell me their story. So
yes,
I think that there's a connection to. Again, we go back to that Sankofa. We go back to whatever ancestors are going through these stories, and a lot of August plays are going back before he. I mean, the bulk of his plays are going back before he completely, moved on, or even completely matured fully to manhood.
Yeah.
So
there's a line in the Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is also known as the Negro National Anthem. And it says, go back to that place, our God, where we first met thee. Well, where we first met thee was in Africa, is what I'm interpreting that to mean. So that spirituality, the Johnson brothers put that line of in the lyrics, and I take out of that, we met God way before the white man came and got us and started teaching us about his God.
Yes.
And so then that gets me into, well, what did our God back then, who was he or she, which is I often use she as a pronoun because I'm thinking about Lucy. Maybe Lucy was God.
You know
Can
what?
I add a line to that verse?
In a human form.
Right.
Can I add another line to that verse?
Go ahead.
It says, true to our God, true to our native land.
Exactly.
Places our God where we met thee. True to our God, true to our native land. That's very profound to me. As
Exactly.
an actual practitioner of African religion, that speaks volumes to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As I'm listening to you all describe Aunt Esther, and before you said Lucy, what popped in my mind was she seemed Aunt Esther also seems like she represents the great mother, because I'm deep into spirituality, so that great ancestral mother, that those primordial waters that these primordial gods come out of, she seemed like she represents creation itself, like from the
Exactly.
beginning of time, like she's always existed.
Mm.
That's why
Yeah.
I also refer quite often to God as she.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I'm thinking about writing a play where I'm making God this black woman with an attitude, and she wears hoop earrings. And when she don't like something you do, she will snap you off.
Miss Rock.
Look, look,
She'll
she
do
will
that thing.
she will grab you.
Exactly.
Right.
She'll grab you and shake the living daylights out.
She will, you know.
Do you teach that?
What?
Professor?
You got to learn that move.
I just thought if Esther was 285 years old, she's older than the lifetime of anybody that she knows.
Yes.
Which puts her in that space of being something like the eternal mother you were just talking about. She was here before any of us.
Yeah.
You know, she's the origin of this whole lineage that goes through these
Uh-huh.
She's literally the mother of that whole tribe. Yeah.
In the Yoruba tradition, she will be Yemaya.
Yemaya.
Yemaya, the mother of waters.
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the reasons I started referring to God as she, when I started thinking about it, first of all, who wrote the Bible? Most of the books of the Bible are written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, men. Now, if they're going to write like writers, they're going to put some of themselves in these stories. So they're going to visualize everything from a male's point of view. But you also see that in a lot of stories like Esther that you were talking about, women are very powerful in the Bible in changing things and using their sexuality to get what they want, to doing what. So women have a lot of power. And even today, that's a big struggle with, you know, women power versus men and that whole struggle that's going on. So I think
if I may, please?
Go ahead, jump in.
Unfortunately, because of that power, that woman power in my life,
you gotta go.
You gotta go.
I gotta go. I'm probably going to get home, and if I'm not sure if you brothers
You didn't say unfortunately, because this is being taped.
Right.
Fortunately,
very fortunately.
I thought that was a slip of the tongue.
No, that was a slip of the tongue. Yeah. And thank you, brother, for helping me to regain my senses. But fortunately, my queen, my wisdom, is at home and just texts me saying, "Hey, we're waiting on you." So,
it's Friday night.
Yeah, it's Friday night.
Everything's all right.
I'm yearning for more of this connection, and I appreciate you all allowing me to share space with you, and I appreciate us having a chance to join together, Baba Olusegun and Brother Williams and Brother Akbar, and of course you, Brother Ward. I appreciate you, and I say peace, ashe, and walk with God, brothers. Walk with God.
Thank you, brother.
We will. I'm gonna make sure we can all exchange contact information, because we got to make this happen again. So.
Yes, that would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. Thank you, brothers. I appreciate
No.
you.
See you later, brother.
Peace out.
All right.
Peace.
Get home. I want to say one last thing too, because I've got to run. But I want to just go back to something you said early on, Mr. Ward, about language, the way we talk, and using "I ain't gonna fix it."
Mm-hmm.